Episode 9. When she had outright refused to give him an heir, he had been utterly shocked. Even Havoc had not understood it. Maxi too had told him no on that account due to Sophia being unhappy and unwilling. They had all started drifting apart after that, and 3 years after mating to each other, Sophia had stomped into his office and demanded to know why her cards had been cut off from PAC funding. Nathan had looked her right in the eyes and laid it out for her. Why let you spend PAC money when you won't learn to do Luna duties or produce an heir? It had been a punishment he'd thought might pull her into line, but nope, it had backfired. Sophia had screamed at him that he was cold and heartless and that she should be treated like a queen and would accept nothing less. Then she had hurled a formal rejection at him. He and Havoc had been stunned into silence as they had watched her storm out of his office. He had not been alone in that office either, still under his father's tutelage to learn how to run every part of the PAC. Both his father's beta and his own future beta had been in the room as well. He and Havoc's heart had broken in that instant. The whole room had gone silent and Havoc had whined in pain. He'd never known the pain of heartbreak before and had retreated to the furthest reaches of Nathan's mind, leaving Nathan to deal with the fallout. He had found her in their suite, sitting in the middle of their bed, arms folded across her chest, looking angry, but not at all upset. He had barely been holding it together to make it out of his office and up the stairs to find her. Not to mention the humiliation of having it screamed at him in front of several people and over something so stupid as money. "What do you want, Sophia?" he asked, trying to placate her and get her back. "Accept the rejection and give me what I am entitled to." "And what exactly is it you think you are entitled to?" He'd shot back at her, annoyed that she didn't even seem to want to work it out, that she looked barely upset at all by the rejection she had declared not 10 minutes ago. "Half of everything. I'm the Luna. I get half of all of it." His anger had finally outweighed his pain at this point. All this girl had ever done was fuck and spend money, nothing worth half his PAC, half his money. Beside that, his mother was the Luna, and his father the Alpha. They had not yet taken over. "You'll get nothing of the sort. You rejected me, so go ahead and leave. Go with what you came with, nothing." He'd roared with anger the last word at her and stormed off. Though he had not formally accepted her rejection at the time, due to a part of him not wanting to lose his mate, the other half of his soul. Havoc had already retreated, and who knew if he would come back. Nathan was already wondering why he wasn't a raging beast out killing everything in his path. Did he know it was coming? Had Maxi warned him? Or had Havoc had enough of the years of tantrums and arguments and lack of Luna qualities in Sophia that he was willingly giving up his mate Maxi? Nathan didn't think so. It was the calm before the storm. Sophia had spent the next 6 months flaunting herself around the PAC, flirting with warriors and other unmated males right in front of him. Most knew better than to get in Havoc's way. Most of them had made a very quick exit when she openly started flirting with them. Her flirting had been the last straw. He'd kicked her from their suite. Neither he nor Havoc would stand for the disrespect his mate was showing. It had brought about a new type of rage in Havoc, an uncontrollable, unpredictable side that to this day Nathan could not always contain. No matter how hard he tried, his wolf's rage could be insatiable. Havoc had killed one male who had actually thought it was okay to put his hands on their mate, and his future Luna thought it was okay to crawl into her bed and fuck her. Pain had ripped through the both of them at her letting another man touch her that way, the betrayal unbearable, while he had staggered about in pain like nothing he had ever felt before, ripping through him like 1,000 silver blades, cutting him all at once. Havoc had gone absolutely ballistic and ripped from his body in such a violent manner that Nathan had had no control over him. He had half-shifted, terrifying many PAC members as he had gone in search of his mate. Within seconds of finding that male on top of their mate, his head had been ripped clean off his body. He dragged a screaming, naked and terrified Sophia out from under the lifeless body and slammed her up against the wall, his hands wrapping around her throat, choking the life from her. If it hadn't been for Maxi surging forward, Havoc would have killed both their mates, and Sophia knew it too. Fear had ebbed out of her every time she'd seen either of them over the next week. She was entitled to nothing, and he had made sure she had gotten exactly that. He'd had the pack lawyers draw up a formal rejection letter with all her shortcomings, so when she had come to his office at his demand and read it, saw she was literally getting nothing, that she would indeed be leaving with only what she came with, one suitcase of her own clothing due to her lack of Luna training, lack of wanting to produce an heir, and then her infidelity, she had had the hide to snort and laughed in his face. "If you think I will sign that, you're insane," she had turned to. Leave his office. Havoc had emerged, forcing him to half-shift, a weird feeling to say the least. He had grabbed her, all his claws out and digging into her arms, dragged her back to the desk, and had been about to slam her head on the desk when Nathan had managed to regain some control. "Sign it, or I'll let Havoc kill you," he had stated in a soft, menacing tone. He had forced a pen into her hand and graded out his formal acceptance of her rejection 6 months earlier that still hung in the air, as she'd never retracted it. Both he and Havoc were done. Being betrayed had been the last straw. He had watched tears fill her eyes as the rejection hit her full force. It was too late for tears. They could not save her. Her tears meant nothing to him anymore. They hated her. Hated the sight of her, the smell of her, and he just wanted it all to be over with and to get her away from him and Havoc so that they could move on with their lives. When she had not signed right away, he had squeezed her hand so tightly, almost to the point of breaking bones. She had cried out in pain, "Sign it," Havoc had roared, forcing himself into control once more, or die. She had finally understood at that moment she had pushed his beast too far and that there was no coming back from it. She'd signed the papers and run to her room to pack. No one was there to help her. Nathan had made sure of that. She would pack and walk away on her own with no help. He had watched her leave from the third-floor balcony as she had struggled to pull her suitcase down the road behind her, as pack members had visually shunned her. He had done nothing, just watched silently. The minute she was off pack territory and out of their lives, he'd gone to their suite and destroyed everything in it, his pain and anguish unleashed finally, where she could never see it. The whole suite had to be rebuilt and refurbished.
Full story is available at novelpalace.com. Click the link in the comment section to get it free.